So as you guys all know by now, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Ant-Man are coming out in 4K Ultra HD next week. And so that means that I have to review all three of those films, and then my Marvel reviews will be complete. And this review is going to be for Doctor Strange. And this movie was directed by Scott Derrickson, and it stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Benedict Wong, two Benedicts in this movie, Rachel McAdams and Chiwetel Ejiofor, along with Tilda Swinton. This movie, I was excited for, to bring kind of more of a magical take, or a sorcerer take. This is the Sorcerer Supreme. And, I just really wanted this kind of element in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, just to kind of give some diversity, I feel like that is something that Doctor Strange can really bring to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I'm still waiting for that. I would say that I like Doctor Strange quite a bit, but I don't really feel like this movie is a good representation of what the character of Doctor Strange can bring to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or what Benedict Cumberbatch can bring to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. All of the setup that goes into Stephen Strange and who he is as a person, and what happened to him in that car crash to his hands, and how that changes his life and sets him on the journey to Comertage. All of that is really well done and expedited in a way that feels like it gets through it, but still leaves room for character moments where you are invested in this character. And that is important. What I will say, and is a problem throughout this movie, is they just don't have enough confidence in who this character is on the page, and what kind of leading men they really like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I've talked again and again how they want snarky jokesters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Everybody has to be one. Everybody has to be Tony Stark. And that is not Stephen Strange, and that is not Benedict Cumberbatch. So why do they want to make him into that mold here? But they insist. I don't really feel like it's Cumberbatch's fault. But again and again, he's just required to make these jokes that kind of thud, and they don't land as hard. The Beyonce joke and all of it just seems really, really forced. And it's just something that I'll bump up with this movie again and again. You have a storyline that is very serious, and then you break it apart with these jokes that are just goofy, and it breaks the tone, and it breaks my immersion with this movie. All of the imagery that is in the Sanctum Sanctorum when he gets to that place is just amazing. It's mind-bending. It's Inception times 10. And again, it's not what I would expect a Doctor Strange movie to look like. I feel like this movie really is hurt by my expectations of what I thought this movie was going to be. But, it's not what I would expect it to look like, but I can admit that it still does look cool. And anybody that wanted the folding the level feature that was in Inception, you're going to get it a lot more here. There's kind of a mystery that goes along with this movie, with the Ancient One and and what is her whole deal with this movie? Can he really trust her? And then you have a Caecilius, who is, to me, a pretty good villain that could have been awesome. They did not give Mads Mikkelsen enough to do in this movie. He has a very sympathetic kind of plight to him that he that he brings to this role, but unfortunately he's given nothing to do, and I really wanted that elaborated on. I wanted him to be more elaborated on, and unfortunately he's just not here. He falls into the underdeveloped villain role that most Marvel films kind of put their villains in, and that's unfortunate. But all of the performances here are strong here. Tilda Swinton is excellent as the Ancient One, and Chiwetel Ejiofor is great as Mordo. I really feel like they set his character up to have a very strong second film in this franchise, and I really do dig all the world building that goes on in this movie. It's its strongest point, actually, besides its visuals. But the tone-deaf nature of this movie is just really striking with the comedy. And it's something that I will bump up against in this movie again and again and again. Just like when Doctor Strange gets his cape, it's like this whole Aladdin thing where the cape kind of like has its own personality and its own mind, and it just like kind of floats around like the carpet in Aladdin. It's just silly. You don't want to see that. That's foolish. I'm an adult. I don't want that in my Marvel film. It's silly, and it's just not what you would expect. And, there's an entire fight scene that a lot of people praise in this movie that happens, like, in an operating room. And to me, it is just silly. It's goofy comedy in a movie that is just really begging to be taken more seriously. And, I do have a problem with the tone-deaf nature of this film, but when I put that aside, I do like the story that it tells. I like the resolution. The end of this movie is great. And for that, I'm actually going to give Doctor Strange a 7 out of 10. It wasn't the movie that I wanted, but it is the movie that we got, and I can appreciate it for what it is. So coming up next on the channel, people, I do have to get into all the 4K reviews of this film and Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man, and I do have a lot coming out for you guys, but you are worth it because you are awesome. I don't need to say it because you know it, and I will see all of you next time.